We are now about 5 months into the release of Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, and I think that's given me enough time to develop a couple of conclusions. One, the sim's still not ready. Stand by 1 more month for a 6-month review in which I will re-tear into the sim, but that's not what we're here for today. Today we are here to talk about my favorite aircraft, okay, there we go. My favorite aircraft, my favorite winged vehicle in the sim, and what that means to me. It's not necessarily my favorite aircraft that's available in the sim, because in some cases those aircraft will be not finished, not flushed out, things won't work on them, they'll have visual bugs or handling bugs. No, my favorite aircraft right now in this sim is holistically complete. It works for the most part, and I can use it in a variety of different situations, if that makes sense. We are in, if you don't recognize this area, why would you? We're in Duluth, Minnesota, if that gives you any inklings of where we might be, and we are backside of what Microsoft renders as the Cirrus delivery facility. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to Flight Simulator 2024, and welcome to the Cirrus Vision Jet G2. I suspect that, now Microsoft does not say that another collaborator had anything to do with this, but I suspect that it did. You remember that really nicely fleshed out Vision Jet that was available in Flight Sim 2020 from a third party? I think that's what this is. I think Microsoft bought the rights to this and, you know, upgraded a little bit, added a little bit of polish to the details to make it FS2024 ready, and spat it out and said, all right, great. Because this aircraft is so complete and so well fleshed out that there's no real reason, as far as I can tell, as to why this would not be a third-party aircraft. We'll get into a little of that momentarily, but first I'll just kind of walk around and talk about why I like this airplane as much as I do. And again, it's not necessarily because it's my favorite aircraft in the sim. That's a different category entirely, but this aircraft is so well fleshed out. There are near zero graphical errors I have with it, other than lighting, which is a Flight Sim staple for me, so I can't hold that against this aircraft. And it's versatile enough where I can get it in and out of pretty much anywhere that I want. I can do long-haul flights, relatively speaking, long-haul flights, you know, my attention span length, you know, several-hour flights. And I can get this in and out of small airports, too, because of its small size. It's quick enough to where, you know, those longer haul flights of, you know, a few hundred nautical miles, they go by fast enough. It's got a full FADEX system, so you get some of the bigger airline-type stuff on this jet, even though it's a nice little teeny tiny airplane. And there's little details like this oil sight glass for the engine. Obviously you saw we had the baggage compartment and the main stairs open, and that's another thing I actually like. We'll look at that when it's time to go inside, is the main exit stays put when you get in and out of the cockpit. On a lot of the Flight Sim aircraft, when you enter and exit the cockpit, the sim automatically closes the door for you, and I hate that. That sucks. I hate that. It's awful. But as you can see on our quick walk around while I was talking, the visual fidelity on this thing is it's good. It's great. I mean, there's really nothing I have as far as major complaints, especially compared to some of the other stuff. The nose wheel turns the right direction, that sort of thing, right? So we'll quickly hop inside, and I want to go over... Oh, look, I'm a liar. It's closing the door behind me. What I meant to say was, even though the door's open, it doesn't throw you in the cockpit, I guess is a better explanation of it. You can see we've got some remove before flight tags. This one over the emergency exit, which unfortunately does not function. I can just place and remove the flight tag. And then this guy here, which is for our CAP system, or Cirrus Aircraft Parachute System. Is that what it is? Is that what it is? I don't remember. Not everything is perfect, like our ELT switch doesn't function. Cabin pressure dump doesn't work, whatever. There's no functionality for having an emergency locator transponder or to emergency dump cabin pressure in the sim as it sits anyway, so I'm not too worried about it. But just about everything else that we would need does work. We've got function... Oh, no, I thought we had functioning circuit breakers. Was that the SR22? Okay, well, we don't have functioning circuit breakers, but they're labeled. That's cute. Got a little hour meter there. no idea what this does, but I can toggle it between auto on and off. Maybe that's the door light. No storage available there. We looked at the overhead panel, and then everything else that we need is just right up here in front of us on these big G1000 displays. So let's add some power to the aircraft here. And we have a working brightness knob for our flight system, which is, again, it's not an always thing. And this really nice, let's actually make that full size. Oh, wrong one. This really nice system over here that lets us go through the different aircraft subsystems. Where are you? Checklist. And I can bring up the checklist on here, and I can have the map one side or the aircraft status on the other. And these do interact with the real aircraft. If I turn off, or I should probably turn on my switches. Park brake, for example. Let's see, park brake on, off. Emergency exits, if I open the main exit, I don't know if I can do that from here. Probably not, it's fine. But you get the idea, right? From there, I can... Let's go back from the checklist and go to aircraft systems. And then I can cycle through each one. So obviously you wouldn't have two of these up simultaneously, but you can cycle through fuel, the electrical system. Obviously we're in a drain right now because there's no power on the airplane. All your different environmental systems, your ice protection, your weeping wings, gear position. And then that's for the autopilot. But really, really, really simple startup process. You can see there's the init page. We can just do a fuel on board sync. Weight and balance. We don't really have a flight plan at all, so we're not going to bother with that. Same thing with takeoff data. So we'll just go ahead and accept that as it sits. Clear out the master caution. And then we'll send this back to the map screen, and we can make that full size. Now we have a full size map. I'm not going to run you through the entire workings of this. I think it's actually G3000 system because we have it here. But again, nice, big, bright, easy visual displays. Like I mentioned before, we've got the onboard FedEx system, so I can set a cruise altitude of, let's just say, 8,500 feet. My autopilot. And I can turn on my flight director, and I can say, I want you to do a flight level change via the FMS. Right there. And I switch between FMS and manual, and then I can turn on my auto throttle once we're started up and ready to go. Speaking of starting up, let's do that. Let's turn on our strobe lights. Generators can come on. And the startup process is super easy because it's a full FedEx system. All we have to do is switch this guy to run. You'll hear a fuel pump come on. Isn't that a sweet sound? And then we just hit engine start/stop. It's like a car almost. And there's no fuel or anything for us to do. There's nothing. We just sit here and we wait. Obviously you don't have functionality of climate because it's a sim, but you do have working knobs both front and rear, as well as a switch to enable the rear cabin control. There's working lights in the entire cabin here as well. Again, my big thing here is everything seems to work on this aircraft for the most part. Obviously, we talked about the ELT switch and all that. It's a few different seating configurations. We've got the standard one today. There's a full family config, and then the executive with just the 2 seats here. And you can see again all of our ICAS warning stuff saying, hey dude, you know, what's going on? What's the deal here? So let's get ready to taxi out here. Just set up my trim real quick. Turn on the landing lights. And you can see we're pretty hard up against this fuel stand here. I kind of did that on purpose because, as you'll see with my turn of the nose wheel, I have a lot more authority to turn the nose wheel than on other aircraft like a 172 or something. I've flown 172s many times in real life, and they have a relatively good turning circle. not in Flight Sim 2024. And there's a few different aircraft that have that artificially reduced turning circle, if you will. I don't think we're going to quite make it out of here, but we can get damn close here. Let's stand on the right brake and just pivot on that wheel and see how badly we clip this fuel stand. Okay, so, I mean, not acceptable, but that would have been a non-starter for most other aircraft in the sim. And just to prove to you guys how tight this turning circle really is. I mean, that's enough to spin you around on a runway for sure. I mean, it's not a full 90 degrees, but I'll take it. I'll certainly take it. Single side stick control. Was a Cirrus staple, but now it's becoming more commonplace in other GA aircraft as well. Anyway, I'll taxi out to the runway here and catch up back with you guys when it's time to take off. So let's run down the before takeoff real quick. We've got departure briefing complete, landing lights on as required, propane on, engine IPS as required, don't need it right now, other IPS we don't need, CAS messages we are clear, trim set, flaps set to 50%, verify takeoff emergency battery, CAS message is what? Is what? What am I supposed to do? Nope. Well, I don't know. Is off? I don't know. So, let's go through our normal takeoff procedure. Set at the threshold. The runway 9er brakes are set to hold thrust lever all the way to takeoff. There's actually a takeoff detent, and then there's a MCT. So takeoff's all the way forward, and then MCT is... it's just behind that. So, we're going to go ahead and advance all the way to the takeoff detent. On the brakes, we've got enough braking power to hold ourselves here. Thrust setting aligned with bug, which we are there, 95%. Engine check normal, we're good. The emergency battery is a little bit low for amperage, but it's jumping there, that's fine. Alright, and then we'll release brakes. Our rotation speed is going to be 85 knots, pitch altitude of 10 degrees, attitude rather, 10 degrees. When we're at a positive rate, we'll go gear up, and flaps come up at 115, make sure we're clear of obstacles, and then we'll set our airspeed per climb tables. We're going to be climbing out at 163 knots today. Let's go fly. Brakes off, airspeed has been alive. Here it comes, a little bit of a headwind, a lot of a headwind actually today. As you can tell by that wind slack there. Alright, we're past 85 knots already. Good positive rate, gear can come up. And I'm going to come off the runway track now and actually start following our heading bug. Auto throttle is engaged. And autopilot's on. After takeoff and in climb, we're going to go thrust lever to max continuous. It's already done that per the auto throttle. Engine parameters monitor, we're all in the green all the way across. Cabin pressure monitor, we're perfectly fine. Ice protection is required, obviously don't need it. Altimeter set to 29 or 902 or standard barometric, we'll do that here. Once we cross our transition altitude, which we're actually not going to do today. And then once we're in cruise, we'll set to max continuous thrust and then keep going with our anti-ice as required. Let's go back to the map and we'll make that full screen. Early springtime in Duluth, so not a lot of colors underneath. I'd reckon this is probably true to life as to what Duluth looks like from the air. Look at that Cirrus Jet. I love, like I always say, I like the semi-dirty condition of stuff. And No, come back. Yeah, what? So, see, this, stuff like this, I didn't notice before. I guess only in this attitude, because when you move around, it goes away. Anyway, what I was saying before is I like kind of dirty, weathered-looking aircraft, and this Cirrus definitely has a little bit of a wear and tear on it, which I like. Obviously, the real-world aircraft, if you do the career mode, or if you do long-haul flights, will also dirty themselves up as you fly. But, this Cirrus comes pretty dirty, and I like it. Going outside again, we've switched off the landing lights and you'll see that they're now doing a strobe. Which I actually like. It's an alternating wig-wag pattern. Don't know how to turn that off. So if you did want to turn that off, good luck. We obviously have the daytime lighting issue, or just the general lighting issue with the sim as it is, as it sits. There's nothing I can do about that. Back inside, climbing at a nice, healthy 2,000 feet per minute still, so not a lot of time to hit your cruise altitude. I'll catch back up with you guys once we're in cruise, and I don't think that'll take too long, so I'll see you guys in just a little bit. Okay, we are inside of about a mile from our destination airport, and we're still at 17.5. Let's get down in the Cirrus Jet, and let's see how quickly it does that. We've got flight level change enabled. We're doing it through the FMS. The airplane's going to do all of the work for us. We're obviously going to overshoot the field a little bit. We'll do a low high-speed pass. Do a quick check of the airplane's maneuverability outside of autopilot, a non-standard flight profile, if you will. And do we want to test? Yeah, we'll test the cap system. We'll land, and then we'll take off again and test the cap system. This does work. At least it worked earlier on in the sim, so I would imagine it still works now. So I don't know how long that was. This recording's been going for 3 minutes, and I talked for about 30-ish seconds on the front end of that. So, from 17,000 down to 2,000, and we'll call it about 3 minutes. It's probably a little bit less than that in reality, but we'll take what we can get. I believe the airport is dead ahead. Yes, it is. So I think it's my time to fly. Let's go autopilot and flight director off, as well as the auto throttle. Let's call our overhead. What's our tail number? 2628 Hotel. Canadian traffic. Cirrus 2628 Hotel is coming in for a high-speed approach. Exiting south at Kennedy. All white. They're all blue. I mean, you're obviously not going to be rocking and reeling a Cirrus Jet, but it does definitely have the maneuverability to do some wacky, wavy flying, should you so choose. Let's see if we can get a 4-point roll. Big nose up, ready, and here it goes. 1, 2... Sort of. Oh, aircraft's trying to roll us back to center. It's the Cirrus system overcoming us there, so we'll have to be a little bit faster. Let's get trimmed out here too. That'll probably help a little bit. Alright, ready? 10 degrees, ready, and here's the 1, and the 2, and the 3, and the 4. So sloppy, but not all that bad. Let's get transitioned in here for a landing. 2628 Hotel? Yeah. Definitely didn't just randomly assign a tail number at the start of this. That's not what happened. And Kennedy traffic. Cirrus 2628 Hotel is on a short final, runway 2 for a touch and go. Again, that's Kennedy. Yeah, actually, it looks like the wind's mellowed out a little bit. They're almost straight up and down the runway. 015 at 016 now at 13 knots. A little bit of buffeting, nothing we can't handle. Windsock showing a little bit more of a crosswind, but it's not we can't handle. Load her on in. Good touch. Here comes power. Flaps back up to 50. 85 knots. Let's go ahead and rotate. Here coming up. helicopter. Avoid him, keep our turn going. And I suppose I should show you guys the Cirrus cap system. It's only fair. So let's say you get yourself into an absolute hectic situation here. Something unrecoverable like this. Oh my god, we're gonna crash. Help. Low the Cirrus. Do the thing. There we go. So you can see we've now got a parachute. Big old parachute out behind us. You can lower the gear. And this is not a end-all be-all. I think there's a minimum altitude which we might have been above. But you can see the gaping hole there now. So they looks like they tried to model the oh, there it is. There we go. Now that we're on the ground. So cap system. It'll get you down, but it'll probably total your aircraft out between the rocket explosion. Cirrus actually does have a repair program, so it doesn't total the aircraft from the parachute deployment, but depending on where you land, like in these trees, it might do you away, and then the parachute keeps dragging you. So, which is fun. I don't know if I can put that away. Can I put that away? Make the parachute go away? Nope, it's just out forever, so. Park brake on, you should kind of settle to where you're at, but that chute will keep pulling depending on your winds. But that, folks, is the Cirrus Vision Jet G2. Let's go ahead and hit that engine stop start button. I said. There we go. And let's hop out of the old world here. So, all in all, obviously we've got some broke stuff. That would make sense. There's the chute on the ground, finally. Let's just look at the nose gear a little more. But, nonetheless, this is currently kind of my little Swiss Army knife of aircraft. You can't do freight or anything like that, but as far as like an aircraft that I can comfortably get into and do long-haul flying with, it's going to be this. And it's sad parachute deployed state. What is your favorite aircraft in the sim? I will note that while this is my favorite winged aircraft, my favorite vehicle in the sim is something else entirely, but we'll talk about that in another episode. That's going to do it for me. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. As always, take it easy.